In this week's episode of Working with Evernote, it's all about how you organize your Evernote. Hello and welcome to episode 97 of my Working with Evernote series. My name is Carl Pauline, and in this week's episode I want to do something a little bit different and just go through some of the ways that you can organize your Evernote. Now, there is a lot of stuff written out there about how you should be organizing your Evernote. But the problem with notes applications in general is we are all different. And if you're trying to create an Evernote organization system that's based on somebody else's system, I can promise you it's not going to work. You need to have that freedom of your mind in order to create the kind of organization structure that you will want to use for yourself. And really the best way to do this is to work out how you think. Now, for me, I use my Evernote as my digital filing cabinet. So for me, logically, it's a good place to start with my organization structure is to think, how would I organize a filing cabinet? Now, let's think about that for a moment. A filing cabinet traditionally was always organized alphanumerically. And what I mean by that is all the things related to A would be in the top, then B, then C, then D, then E, then F. It would go through the whole alphabet, the 26 letters, 24 letters of the alphabet, I can't remember. But the idea is that if you needed to look up something, say, to do with your garden, then you would go to G, because garden begins with G. If you wanted to look up something like, for example, I have a tag for Cary Grant. I mentioned in a previous episode about Cary Grant, and one of the things about Cary Grant is I love his style. He created a wonderful style for himself, and I've always seen him as my style icon. And so I actually do in Evernote have a tag called Cary Grant, and this is one of the ways that you can do it. So that would come under C, Cary Grant, or possibly G for Grant, but I would probably use C because I think of him as Cary Grant. So that's the alphanumeric tagging system, and I think it really does work. And in that situation, you would create a notebook for work and a notebook for personal. That way you can separate out the various tasks, but still using the tagging system alphanumerically. That's one way. Another way you could do it is use symbols. So I actually use the hashtag, I use the colon, I use the /, and I use the arrow keys to create different areas of my life for tagging. This just actually helps me for when I'm looking for stuff, because it creates a drop-down menu, and you can see in the screen, so that when I'm searching for something, I can just quickly type in the actual thing. So the hashtag means current, the / is what, the colon is who, and so on. So you know roughly what you're looking for when you use the tagging system. For others, maybe you want to have lots of notebooks related to the different parts of your life. You can have a notebook for your social life, a notebook for projects, a notebook for work, a notebook for personal data. You know, you can just fill up notebooks just like the traditional notebook system. And that's the beauty of Evernote. It has so much flexibility built in that you can create an organization system that works for you. And this is one of the reasons why in my online courses I am very reluctant to give you a particular framework to build an organization structure, because I understand everyone is different and we all have our own ways of organizing things, particularly in our minds and so on and things like that. So what I don't want you to do is to go out there and look for somebody else's organization structure and think because it works for them, it's going to work for you. The truth is, it's not going to work for you. Simple. Because you have a different lifestyle, you have a different way of thinking. So really in this episode, what I really want to do is to encourage you to think a little bit differently. Don't copy somebody else's organization structure, and just get in there and focus in on how you want your Evernote to be organized for yourself. The simple thing to remember is, how am I going to find this note in 1 year's time? So whether you want to use an alphanumeric tagging system, whether you want to use no tags and just notebooks, whether you want to use the symbols like colon, hashtag and so on, it's entirely up to you. But the key is it works for you. Another way that just came to mind then is you could actually create tags for the actual month of the year. So anything that you're working on in January will be in your January tag, or even January notebook. You know, there are so many different ways that you can organize it. But what I really want to stress is that you organize it for the way that your mind and lifestyle works. Okay, hopefully you found this a little bit more useful. Sorry for the different layout or structure. Just wanted to be a bit different this week. I hope you found it useful. It just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.